I welcome you all to UGC EPG Pathshala lecture on title Urban Morphology of Jaipur. The aim and objective of this lecture is to understand the relevance of geographical features in defining and transforming traditional hillside Rajput settlements of Rajasthan with special emphasis towards their defense strategy and implications of environmental elements towards their settlement planning in a specific case study example for Jaipur city. Talking about the location of Jaipur, also known as the Pink City, is the capital of Rajasthan. It is located amidst the Aravalli hill ranges at a distance of about 200 miles from Delhi and a distance of around 150 miles from Agra and 84 miles from Ajmer, with a 2655 degree and latitude and 7550 degree longitude. Figure 1, you will have a map showing Jaipur in eastern part of the state of Rajasthan. It is one among the modern administrative districts of eastern Rajasthan, lying in the Banas river basin and forms a part of eastern plains of Rajasthan, which is well drained by a number of seasonal rivers, of which Banganga, Dhund and Bandi are the prominent ones. Coming to the geological context of Jaipur, including physiography, for this you will be having figure 4, which will be describing the basis of the existing relief features and the eastern plains of Rajasthan. This includes the area on the northeast, east and southeast of the Aravalli range, known as the Eastern Plain. The Vindhyan Plateau marks the southeastern limit of the plain. The western boundary is demarcated by the eastern edge of the Aravalli up to the north of Udaipur. Here you will be having figure 2, which will describe the soils of Rajasthan. Further, coming to Jaipur, which lies under the Banas basin, a region marked by various types of erosional features produced in granite and gneiss rocks, marking the topography of its area. The soil is stony and the annual rainfall is about 73 centimeters. From the foot of the Aravalli range, the plain slopes gradually towards northeast. River Banas and its tributaries drain the Mewar plain. Jaipur has alluvial soils, which is deficient in lime, phosphoric acid and humus. Now it varies from clay to sandy loam in texture. The topsoil contains kankar, which lie either on sands or sandy clays. A wide variety of crops including wheat, rice, cotton and tobacco are grown in this soil. The geological sequence consists of basaltic lava flows, sandstone, limestone, shale, schist, gneiss, silt, clay and sand. Here you will be having figure 3, which will describe the geomorphological map of Rajasthan. Moving towards hydrology, owing to its physiographic setup, Rajasthan is basically accentuated by the Aravalli range, which forms its water divide backbone, giving rise to originating a number of rivers. Here you will have figure 6, which will explain the river basins of Rajasthan. As per the geographical divisions, Jaipur lies under the Banas river basin, where western and northern boundaries of the Banas basin are formed by the Aravalli hill ranges, having a maximum elevation of about 1200 mean sea level. East of the Aravalli range, the area is characterized by generally flat to undulating topography, with small isolated ridges and hills. The broad Banas alluvial plain, deposited in the form of small isolated valley, fills its slopes generally northwards. The width of the alluvial plain increases towards the downstream. In figure 8, you will find the drainage map of Rajasthan. The alluvial deposits of the Banas river thin out towards the west, while the thickness increases towards the east and northern peripheries. The extensive dunes cover the basin areas in Jaipur, Ajmer and Dausa districts. The drainage of the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea gets divided due to the Great Indian Watershed, which runs along the Aravalli axis from the Sambar Lake southward to Ajmer. Smaller streams and their tributaries drain the west and south of the Aravalli axis. Rivers like Luni, Sukri, Banas, Sabarmati and Mahi are the most significant ones. These streams are non-perennial in nature. The Banas River flows through the heart of the Mewar Plains. Its chief tributaries are Biraj, Kothari, Khari, Dhund and Moril. The river Banas rises from the catchment area lying between Kankroli and Nathwada, and it flows towards the east as far as Mandalgarh, and further it flows towards the northeast up to Tonk, where it again turns towards the east, and finally this river turns at right angles and flows south to join the river Chambal. The upper reaches of this stream are hilly and have good rainfall. Now this you can refer with the figure number 7, which will give you the idea of watershed of Banas Basin, along with figure number 9, which will give you the details on Banas River Basin extents in Rajasthan. Now coming next to the historical context of Jaipur city from 10th century onwards. As per the historical development during 10th century and onward period, Jaipur area belongs to the Dhundar region of eastern Rajasthan, which was one of the 4 distinguishable politico-cultural regions along with Mewat, Hadoti and Mewar. The Dhundar region was roughly comprised of current districts of Jaipur, Dausa and Tonk, with Jaipur and Amber further constituting Dhundar subzone within the larger tract of Dhundar region. The Dhundar region, as per Aryan epics, is also known as Matsya Desh, Meenavati, and has its commercial significance being the shortest trade route between North India and rich port cities of Gujarat and Malabar. During this time period, the region was ruled by Bad Gujars, Rajputs and Meenas till the 11th century. Now here you will have figure 10, which will give you the details on Dhundar region of Rajasthan. Now coming to the 11th century and the period onwards, the Dhundar region was increasingly under the power of Kachwaha dynasty of Rajputs, who were supposedly the descendants through the Solar dynasty of Kush. The foundation of Dhundar kingdom was laid in the year 967 AD and made Dausa as his capital. Further, Amber was seized from Meenas, and the Amber fort and the temple of Ambekeshwar Mahadev was built, leading to the shifting of capital from Dausa to Amber between 1179 and 1216 AD. Now here you will find figure 11, which gives you the idea of the 3 main capitals of the Dhundar region under the Kachwahas: Dausa, Amber and Jaipur. Coming to the 17th century, the Kachwa Rajput clan became known for political clout and importance in the Mughal administration. Raja Man Singh, who has served between 1950 to 1614, and Mirza Raja Jai Singh, who has served between 1622 to 1667, contributed to the financial and cultural wealth of Dhundar region through political alliance with Mughals. Savai Jai Singh II, who has served during 1700 to 1743, who outlived 5 Mughal emperors and tried to prop up the Mughal empire from 1707, that is during Aurangzeb's death, to sack of Delhi by Nadir Shah in 1739, established the city of Jaipur and strengthened the boundaries of Dhundar region. Now here you will find figure 12, which gives you an idea of the political map of Rajasthan in 1959 with Jaipur under Mughal Suba of Ajmer. Coming to the development and evolution of Jaipur city form, Dhundar region has its capital shifting from political and defensive reasons under different rulers during the following periods. From 1179 and 1216 AD from Dausa to Amber in 1700 to 743, from Amber to Jaipur. However, the shifting of capital to Jaipur was in contrast to the past practices of traditional Rajput hillside settlements, which are known for their defensive strategy. Jaipur was planned in plain lands rather than hillside, to envision the bold and strong political statement at par with Mughal cities and as a thriving trade and commerce hub for the Dhundar region. The innovative idea of having the city in plain land was further supported by the following reasons. The first one would be of the military reasons. Since defense was an important consideration, therefore the natural topography has been utilized in setting out the layout for the new city. The site at the south of Amber ensured greater distance from Delhi and also prevented the expansion of the city in that direction. Now here you will find figure 14 to ensure the same extents. At the same time, it was also ensured that the city is only allowed to expand towards south with the geographical limitation offered by the outskirting hill ranges. The Nahargarh Hills, shaped as a horseshoe, makes it a basin-like shape for the open plain bounded on the northwest and east by hills. Now here you will find figure 15 where you will have a map showing natural features between Amer and Jaipur. Coming to the geographical reasons, the restriction offered by the rocky terrain of Amber limited the expansion of old Amber settlement, which was getting congested over the time. Therefore, the need of a new capital for 18th century Dhundar region was felt. Further, the presence of perennial water sources owing to the hilly geographical surroundings in the nearby area ensured the availability of adequate drinking water for the new city with a good drainage system. Here you will find figure 16 where you will have a map showing presence of water sources in the urban section. Geographically, the area also ensured a constant supply of building materials from the hills, which will be needed for the future development of the city in the times to come. Coming to the site selection, the site selected for establishing the new capital of Jaipur was a valley located south of Amber and the plains beyond, a terrain that was the bed of a dried lake. There used to be a dense forest cover to the north and the east of the city. The physical constraints that informed the building of Jaipur city included the hills on the north that housed the fort of Jaigarh and the Amber palace beyond, and the hills on the east which contained the sacred spot of Galtaji. Urban planning in Jaipur. In India, Jaipur is probably the only 18th century walled city that can still cater to the present day pressures of vehicular traffic on roads with its grid iron pattern built with futuristic planning and extraordinary foresight. It included innovative concepts in traditional planning guidelines along with an appropriate adaptation of the terrain itself. The traditional planning guidelines includes the traditional medieval towns of Rajasthan. Here you have figure 18 showing the medieval hillside city section where of military, agrarian, mercantile or religious nature. The presence of a deity marked the reference point for the ruler's adobe and the rest of the city, where the name of the town was usually associated with the political or religious center. As in case of Amber, it derives its name from Ambekeshwar temple, and similarly, Jaipur derived its name from Savai Raja Jai Singh. The traditional medieval city planning pattern in Rajasthan has Dausa and Amber as traditional hilltop planned layouts guided by the natural contours and topographical considerations incorporated within their layouts, which was suitable for an agrarian economy-based settlement. The generic plan of hill town of Dausa is explained here in figure 19, which shows an organic layout guided by the topography, and figure 20 shows the Amber town plan with the fort on top of the hill and the wall town down its slopes. Both of these have organic layouts which have been used as inspiration for Jaipur city planning, which has a shift in economy from agrarian towards a trading economy. Contrary to the previously planned capitals of Dhundar region, Jaipur city was revolutionary in terms of its grid iron pattern layout, linking with the concept of a Shastrik city, while incorporating practicalities of the chosen site. Unlike the planning of previous capital cities of Dhundar region, including Dausa and Amber, being a traditional hilltop planning, was considered guided by the natural contours and topographical considerations in layouts. Its city's planning was revolutionary in terms of its grid iron pattern planning, its location at the base of the hills, and the shift in economy from an agricultural base in Dausa and Amber to trading in the capital of Jaipur, whose layout links with the concept of a Shastrik city within the practicalities of the chosen site. Jaipur city planning guidelines includes the axis of the city, which was predetermined by the geographical features, whereas the political consideration have been the governing factor for deciding the city form by deciding its physical extents. Under the geographical considerations, the natural ridge runs across the plain, north of the road and parallel to it in a roughly east-west alignment with a slight deviation of 15 degrees from the cardinal axis. The area to its south is flat while that to its north slopes down gently. In Shastrik terms, this is an ideal arrangement as declivity towards the northeast is considered the best site. In practical terms, the ridge too had to be accommodated. The straight line of the ridge suggested itself as the route for one of the main east-west thoroughfares, and building a road along its crest makes best possible use of the topography for the purpose of drainage, while regularizing the Amber-Sanganer road as a north-south route at right angles to it, with the point of intersection as the city's main cross, roads also known as chopper. Political considerations, the southern boundary of the city had to lie within the line of Agra-Ajmer road. So by extending the north-south road as far as possible southwards gives the first fixed dimension, the length of a side of a square, and so establishes the size of the unit or module of the city, a savaya, a quarter extra, a system of measurement which was used in the planning and details of Jaipur, with use of dimensions that are a quarter more than a whole number. The north to south road cutting the plain links the principal trading towns of Amber with Jaipur. Therefore, it falls within the city's boundaries. A second road ran east to west between the Mughal cities of Agra and Ajmer, while placing the new city of Jaipur on its already established communication line. This has been done in order to secure its economic success. However, since this was an imperial road that could not be encroached on, therefore the city need to be contained to the north of this line. The east-west axis of the town was divided by 3 perpendicular roads into 8 portions, with the central ones of equal size and the outer ones as per the remaining dimensions, till the Chand pole in the west and Suraj pole in the east. Now coming to the conceptual Prastara plan, Jaipur is based on Prastara type of layout which gives prominence to the cardinal directions, and is a model of town planning which makes Jaipur as the first planned city in India. It is based on Hindu systems of town planning and followed the principles prescribed in the Shilpa Shastra, an ancient Indian treatise on architecture. According to this Shastra, the site should be divided into grids or mandalas, ranging from a size of 2 by 2 to 10 by 10. This plan of Jaipur is a grid of 3 by 3, with grid lines being the city's main street axis. Coming to the plan, the palace building covered 2 blocks. The town's 6th and the remaining 9th block was not usable on account of its steep hillside. So this northwest ward was transferred to the southeast corner of the city, making the shape of the plan as a whole asymmetrical rather than square. The mandala could not be complete in the northwest due to the presence of the hills. On the other hand, in the southeast, an extra square has been added that plugged the gap between the city and the eastern hills. South of the main road were 4 almost equal rectangles. The rectangle opposite the palace has been broken up into 2 equal and smaller rectangles by the Chauda Rasta. Thus altogether there are now 5 rectangles on the south of the main road called chokris. Now here you will see figure 25 where you will have a plan showing the Chauda Rasta and the chokris within the Jaipur city plan. Now coming to the wards, the city's division into 9 wards was also in conformity with the Hindu caste system, which necessitated the segregation of people belonging to different communities and ranks. Even the lanes were named after the occupations of inhabitants, such as Maniharon ka Rasta, Thatirong ka Rasta, and many others, while the serving class occupied the peripheral areas. Following the directions of the Hindu Shilpa Shastra, the width of the main streets and other lanes were fixed. Thus, the main streets of the city were 111 feet wide, secondary streets were 55 feet wide, and the smaller ones were 27 feet wide. On the north of the main road from west to east are the Purani Basti and the palace and the Ramachandraji. Now coming to the lakes within the city of Jaipur, they were essentially placed to facilitate water supply to the new city. The Darbhavati river in the north was dammed to create the Jaisagar and Mansagar that later housed the Jal Mahal lake. Later, the Jotwara river in the northwest was diverted through the Amani Shah Nala, and a number of canals were channelized through Brahmapuri and Jainivas to supply water to the city. Another constraint was the position of the lake, which formed a part of the pleasure garden around which the city was built. This lake lay close to the hillside. In the original design, it fell outside the main block of the city, but due to Jai Singh's wish to include the old garden in the city, the lake was made the tank of Palace Garden. The surface water bodies includes the Talkatora, Jaisagar, Mansagar, Jal Mahal Lake and the Ramgarh Lake are the important features in the city plan. The artificial lakes were created in response to the natural topography. Important historic water bodies were located within the walled city. These 2 locations called Badi Chaupad on right and Choti Chaupad on left serve as public squares with fountains today. Now coming to the bazaars in the city plan of Jaipur, the principal bazaar leads from the western gate in the city wall, the Chandpol, passing in front of the Tripolia gate. To the eastern city gate, the Surajpol. Original markets in the city include Kishanpol Bazaar, Gangori Bazaar, Johri Bazaar, Sire Derohi Bazaar. Now coming to the city gates, the city has the following 8 gates, namely Chandpol Gate, Ghat Gate, Ajmeri Gate, Sanganeri Gate, Surajpol Gate, Gangapol Gate, Zorawar Singh Gate, and there is a new gate. Now here in figure 22, you will find the divisions of the city into 8 portions, ends of the roads marked by the gates in the city wall. Further, the town has around it a masonry wall which is 25 feet height and 9 feet thick, with these 8 gates. The central axis of the town was laid from east to west between the gates of the sun, that is referred as Suraj Pole, and the gate of moon, which is referred as Chand Pole. This was crossed by 2 roads at right angles, dividing the town into 9 almost square, almost equally sized blocks, which were further subdivided by lanes and alleys, all at right angles. But by building the western boundary of the city right up to the hill's southern apex, it provided a continuous line of defense. Now here you have figure 27, where you have a map showing the city gates and their strategic location. Now coming to the road network of the city plan, Jaipur's road network follows a definite hierarchy. The major east-west and north-south road form the sector boundaries and are called Rajmarg as they lead to the city gates. These measure 33 meter wide. Next, there is a network of 16.5 meter wide which runs north-south in each sector, linking the internal areas of the sectors to the major activity spine. An orthogonal grid of 8.25 meters by 4 meter roads in the Prastara chessboard pattern further divided sectors into mahallas. Streetscapes and chowks. The width of the main roads was kept 39, 1.4 gaz, that was approximately 108 feet. Secondary roads are half of its size, which would make 54 feet. The tertiary roads are around 27 feet and the inner mohalla streets are only 13 feet wide. The main street markets, Haveli and temples on these streets in Jaipur were constructed by the state in the 18th century, thus ensuring that a uniform street facade is maintained. The widths of roads were predetermined. Junctions of the main axial streets formed the 2 square civic open spaces called Chopper, Badi Chopper and Choti Chopper. The width of the square, which includes Chopper, was 3 times that of the main street. Now here you can find in figure 21 the intersection of the axis to define the Badi Chopper, which is the city square. Further, historically, the choppers were outlets for intense social use with water structures connected by underground aqueducts, supplying enormous sources of drinking water at street level. Presently, the center of each chopper has square enclosures with ornamental fountains. The streets and chowks, the central open squares in a town of the internal chowkris, here referred as sectors, with numerous clusters or mohallas, were not predetermined. Hence, it shows a mix of grid iron and organic pattern, with the basic unit of built form being the rectangular Haveli. Now coming to the urban expansions of Jaipur, the spatial and temporal growth pattern of Jaipur can be divided into 4 distinct phases. Each phase has a special contribution to the development of Jaipur. The first phase, scheduled between 1727 to 1850 AD, Jaipur was founded by Maharaja Savai Jai Singh II as one of the few planned cities of its times based on the principles of ancient town planning doctrine of Shilpa Shastra. The second phase belonged to 1850 to 1930. During this phase, the city grew out of the confines of the walled city. The establishment of a railway line in 1868 AD fueled the growth of the city. Then coming to the third phase, which was scheduled between 1930 to 1970. In 1930s, 5 development schemes including Fatihabad area south of Ram Nivas Bagh, Ashok Nagar, New Colony in Jalapuro and Bani Park, commonly known as A, B, C, D, E respectively, were conceived to provide residential plots, land for public institutions and other amenities for the increasing population. Rajasthan University was inaugurated in 1947, thereby opening opportunities for the southward growth of the city. Now coming to phase 4, which was post 1970s. During the last 3 decades, major growth direction has taken place towards the southwest and northwest of the city, due to the presence of hills in the northern and eastern sides acting as natural barriers. Now during 1986 to 1991, the crop area has decreased considerably, whereas built-up land has increased to accommodate the increasing population of the city. In order to meet the housing need of the people, new colonies are being developed on the agricultural land. Some positive changes have been found from the ecological point of view, which includes afforestation carried out on the degraded forest area. During the years 2003 till 2009, the crop area has decreased considerably. Different land use and land cover wise changes were observed during this period. These are as follows. The crop land decreased by 15 square kilometer, whereas the fallow land by 5.8 square kilometer. On the outer side, built-up land increased by 46.87 square kilometer, and major changes also seen in high density, that is from 21 to 41 square kilometer during this time period. Now coming to phase 5, which is the present scenario of urban expansion. As observed, major changes were found within and between the two land use classes, that is agriculture and built-up land in case of Jaipur. The major problems associated with this urban center is that of unplanned expansion, changing land use and land cover, and loss of productive agricultural land. With increased urban pressure and due to the barrier of hill and mountains in the north, northeast and east part, the city has grown towards south, southwest and west directions along the major roads and the plain areas. Most of the settlements are on the base of fallow land and croplands, putting heavy pressure on the ecologically sensitive areas by way of deforestation and mining in reserve forest areas. Residential area has higher rate of expansion after 1975. The major expansion is observed in the western, southern and southeastern parts and along the national highways number 8, 11 and 12. The city expanded towards southern and western directions, engulfing productive cropped area, fallow land and degraded forest land. The urban area has covered the surrounding towns, which are developing as the satellite towns. These towns includes Sanganer, which is around 20 kilometers from Ajmeri Gate in south, the town called Bagru, which is about 35 kilometers away from the city, and similarly there are areas like Chomu, Akrol, Kanota, etc. Now here you will have figure 30, wherein you will have a map showing the locations of these satellite towns of Jaipur city. Now with this we come to an end to the lecture titled Urban Morphology of Jaipur City. Thank you.